All right. Again, this is the KTNG Morning Show. First of all, I do have to say good morning to our Facebook donator, Christina Long. She believes in what we do here. And therefore, people, welcome to the KTNG. I would say, go funny. You want to become a supporter, a good neighbor supporter all over the place. And that makes smaller places look a little bit more racist than others, such as Kansas. But since we are in the Midwest, and the central part of this thing and so forth is, really crazy and so forth, we have to take another look at one of those simplistic red states that are basically slipping from the grasp of the Republicans. Or call them the Republicans. Predahors or whatever. I don't know, Predaho. Give them that. All right. Anyway, from Bloomberg, let's get this thing right off the bat, man, because I got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about today. Anyway, let's see. It states that cheeseburger. Okay, cheeseburger, the bloatus of the POTUS. Your massive trade war hits another red state. Tango. Time for cheeseburger-friendly Midwestern states like Iowa, India, North Dakota, and Nebraska if they take effect. In March, the United States Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer, whatever the hell his name is, said, quote-unquote, there's hope. Abandon all ye hope who come to the United States. Sorghum growers aren't so lucky. Yesterday, China's Ministry of Commerce announced that it would impose a 178.6% duty on sorghum imports from the United States that will take effect almost immediately. So it's like Wednesday, it's done, okay? The news puts an additional cheeseburger-friendly state and Republican leaders squarely in the crosshairs. Kansas is the largest sorghum producer in the United States and also the most racist state you can put into right about now, considering that you got jackass. Old congressional district KS01, Kansas' first district voted for cheeseburger over Hillary Clinton by such as, well, I'm sure anybody can change his mind. Ooh, let me read that again. This is something that I basically how you do that. I can do this training right here, okay? Or out of the rich neighborhoods and put them equally in border neighborhoods of your cheeseburger. There's a lot more homeless out there on the street, right? So Starbucks grocery stores or airports where they're located. So you can still go to grocery stores. Having programming. It's called traffic to Starbucks amid intense competition from coffee sellers ranging from hipster cafes to fast food chains. That, oh, come on. You can't put the police in there? The afternoon hours are the slowest time for Starbucks businesses. Nevertheless, the closure of 8,000 stores and its corporate offices for an afternoon will almost certainly have an impact on sales. So if you go to the stock market right now, you can see that Starbucks' stock is just like, okay? Starbucks did not say how many hours the stores will be shuttered on May 29th. Why y'all waiting so long? Y'all gonna wait till May 29th to do this? It's gonna take you that long to get somebody to do a technical write-up of this sort of thing and do the research so that way you can come up with internet answers? Beautiful. Anyway, while this is not limited to Starbucks, we're committed to being part of the solution, says Johnson, who apologized for the irreprehensible arrest of the two men and taking responsibility for the incident. Bravo! If you want to talk about what's happening around the company, believe me, this is the revolution, people, that is basically has a fuse lit. Okay, the atomic clock is basically 2 minutes away from 12 here. Okay, as they call it, and you're asking for huh? Okay, so somebody of color to actually work in these places. Anyway, that's kind of people that you're going to slide up underneath the door and say, okay, they'll go away. These are not the kids that are growing up in our own terrorist violence in schools. In total, 31 students have been detained, while 10 have been freed, 8 have been released, and we know that part of the story. But the arrest began in Syria. Protesters had opened up a banner reading, "There should be no celebration of an occupation or a massacre." Okay? There should be no celebration of an occupation or a massacre. This did not go well. This didn't go down well with the government. It considers the U.S.-backed Kurdish YPG militia that controlled Afrin a terrorist group and an extension of the banned Kurdistan Worker Party. Okay, so the U.S. backs these things. Does this not look like a coup that just kind of like got screwed up and they said, okay, fine, let's just bomb the place and call it a day? Okay, $250 million later, responding to the university's protest, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan labeled the students traitors and terrorists for speaking out against the operation. We will invoke their right to education. Shot in their classes by white terrorists. They never made an apology for white supremacy. And then they send this jackass cheeseburger overseas to all of these places, and they are basically just soaking up his stench. What do you think? It's like a domino theory, people. You knock one over, you get the rest of them. And Turkey happens to be in the middle of that crap. And if you're in Turkey and you basically follow behind this crap, 9 times out of 10, you are your own country. The United States has an appropriation for making loans on the interest. So that way nations around the world like Russia are basically not hit by, tariffs or trade embargoes. No, it's loan interest, people. Özgür Tuncer's daughter is still being held in detention. Her quote-unquote sensitive yarn, she says, is an anti-war and a supporter of peace. You mean to tell me these kids are basically supporting peace and you put them in jail? But if you let a warmonger go around and do whatever they want and so forth, it's fine. I mean, they did get the practice from like looking at the United States here, didn't they? Yeah, it's easy to make war. We make money. Yes. Being anti-war in Turkey is perceived as terror propaganda these days. The Turkish constitution has clause protecting freedom of speech and expression. Isn't this a country of rule of law, she asked. These children never threw a stone, never held a weapon out of the equity of freedom of speech. Or for Association published a statement with the headline, quote unquote, war is Turkey. The issue has led to the harshest targeting of peaceful freedom of expression in any way on Twitter. Boy, I tell you, Twitter is basically just spiking it these days. Police broke up the same thing. Police broke down her door, came in, detained her, thought my house was being bombed. She thought her house was being bombed or a civil war had just erupted. And she goes, "What's my crime? I just demanded peace." Tomorrow. And there we have a stigma going on here, people. I'm only showing you the reasons why peace is such an inevitably harder thing to attain, but war is easy to commit to, especially when you got like the United States backing everything else up. We have the most money to do this. Where's the money coming from? Poor people like you and me. And then you guys got the nerve to not even so much as commit to donating $5 or $20. These are the things that happen here. It is euphoric in its sense of like asking for a utopia of peace. What's wrong with that? That's what I want to know. What's wrong with asking for peace? What's wrong? I mean, come on. Before he canceled it. And I thought, hold up. Who was it? Or something like that. Sure, being attacked. Why are you fighting each other when you know who the enemy is and the enemy's just driving by and laughing at your asses every day? That is stupid with 2 O's. Okay? So get out of it. Get out of it. You're not doing anybody good. Not at all. This is KTNG 860 AM in the morning, people. This is the morning show. You are alive. There we go. Let's see. G. Mabel joined. Good morning. I'm out of that. We allow this crap to continue. And as long as cheese, I am going to bring you all down here to this one thing. Be a broadcasting like this, the costs money. It does. All we're asking for is a simple $1,000 by the end of the month. We already got a donation. Step up and improve your voice. Because without these voices, they become lost in this country. And the longer you sleep, the worse it gets. All right? So, here's a note for you. During the soap to come out as laws at the first of next year. All right? Tired of it, people. Tired of it. Tired of it. Tired of it. Tired of it. Anyway, this country, we are totally discovered. the spike in organ donations. Now, keep in mind, people, you have people that come up missing. Made up 1% of all donors in 2000. In 2017, booyah, they spiked up to 13.4%. So let me see. If I get a new liver from somebody that OD'd, maybe off of alcohol, then I can walk around acting drunk. Or let's see, I can have a failing organ, a liver or a gallbladder or whatever. I can have that failing item inside of me to make me live how many years? Think about it, people. Not the most healthiest thing. Question your doctor. Question your transplant operationist, whatever you want to call them. This is contributing to a spike in total organ transplants, according to the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network. Quoted, a record number of donor organs were recovered and transplants occurred for each of the 4 common organs transplanted: kidney, liver, heart, lung. Okay, so 114,000 people who in the United Network of Organ Sharing estimates were awaiting transplants. Third Tuesday afternoon, though, researchers concede it comes with an asterisk. Now, that asterisk is the same asterisk that you would see, say, like on TV that says, hey, here's Risperdal, it'll cure this, but it will give you the side effects that are like a mile long. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Is it clicking yet? This is not a fear-based thing. This is an actual reality that is happening. Since 2000, the opiate epidemic has killed 200,000 people in the United States, according to the Washington Post's Katie Zimmerman and Scott Higman. That's more than 3 times the number of U.S. military deaths in Vietnam. Okay? Amid the deaths are countless tableaus of heartbreak. 7-year-old girl who tried for more than a day to wake her parents before authorities discovered the gruesome reason. A toddler in pink pajamas caught on videotape crying and pulling her unconscious mother who had collapsed in a toy aisle. A 10-year-old who died with a dangerous mix of opiates in his system. Tragedy. It should be tragic to continue to underutilize life-saving transplants from donors. We have an obligation to optimize the use of all organs donated. How about cleaning them damn things up before you put the poison back into the people who are basically not trying to die? I mean, come on, let's look at it from a healthy way. You want the epidemic to stop, let these people completely overdose, and then when their organs are transplanted into other people who are basically already in need of this and so forth, kind of helps with the population control, don't you think? I mean, this is far better than, Planned Parenthood. It is. The current epidemic of deaths from overdose is a tragedy. Okay? It is. The donors, families, patients waiting deserve our best efforts to use every gift of life we can. How can you use a gift of life like that that's not even living? Okay? How can you use something that's already dying? 7,313 donors who died from drug overdoses, resulting to nearly 20,000 transplants. Wow, that doesn't even divide up right. Okay, from 2000 to 2017, the number of overdose deaths donors increased by 17% every year. Okay. Now, what they fail to mention is that the people who are dying off of these opiates and so forth are basically middle class and poor whites. Okay, that's the reason why it is such a thing in the news today. Now, if this was happening in, say, the brown and the black community, which needless to say, we can't even see ourselves doing that crap. Okay? Of course, there's a few here and there and whatnot still sticking needles in their arms for heroin, but I think more or less there's a mental thing going on here. Okay? And like I said before, God is perfect, man is not. Man-made whiskey, but ensure recipients are protected. So if you're sticking a needle, and there are some, unfortunately, there are a few people that I know personally that are basically just stuck on stupid doing it. Screening tests have improved dramatically since the late 1990s, and Duran told Live Science testing practices include not only antibody tests for the infection, but we can call nucleic acid. And it's like has nothing to do to save its young. Yeah, 6 feet. How again, contradiction of it all has played into the face of, guess what? The almighty Gorbachev. U.S. again seeks to cancel immigrants' deportation protection. Oh no! Here we go back into the oligarch session again. Okay, so needless to say, immigration officials in Seattle forced by court order to reinstate a Mexican man's participation in a program designed to protect those brought to the United States illegally as children are again trying to revoke it. Daniel Ramirez Medina, 25, drew international attention last year. We've been following this whole thing. When he was placed in deportation proceedings despite his participation in, you're going to be able to help build a wall, considering that we have the National Guard there with guns. Okay, another federal court in California has ordered the government to maintain the DACA program. Nearly 700,000 people have already enrolled in nationally. Earlier this month, however, the agency notified Ramirez that it intended to revoke his status again. It cited the same rationale it used to detain him before, that he admitted to having gang ties. His lawyer says the government invented that assertion and an immigration judge has called it unfounded. The government, okay, will insert a lie to get you out of this country, my Latino brothers and sisters, okay? It's an incredibly cruel approach to the case, said one of Ramirez's lawyers, Ethan Detmer. What's unlawful about it is that they've, for over a year now, had the opportunity. Where's your freaking? Are we still following the dictations of a madman? I mean, come on. If we have a problem with white supremacy in this country, it's because they're following the dictations of like two things, the Confederacy and Hitler. Okay, now the neo-Nazis and so forth are following the dictations of who? A madman named Hitler, who basically killed 6 million Jews. Well, this country and its American terrorists have killed over 50 million, 400 million black people. Okay, so now my brown brother and brown sister, where do you fit into all this? They're not going to murder you. They just want free slave labor. And if you can't provide free slave labor, guess what? We're going to say, you're in a gang and throw you out here any damn way. Wow. So this is the country you came here for an opportunity, only to find that you're getting slapped in the face. Okay? That's why it is imperative that you have compassion for a citizen. He has no criminal record. Let me put this together so you guys won't wind up getting a sucker punch. No criminal record. This is profiling. This is the worst thing. This is the most racist thing that this government can actually do, is profile people that were tricked into saying what their status was. As the Latino community reels, is running around trying to get away from La Migra, I would suggest this. Here's the solution. Here's what you do. Everybody go down. If you're in Los Angeles and so forth, everybody go down to Alvarado Boulevard, get you a fake ID. Okay? Look at the death certificates of people that died. And even if it says Barbara Bush and so forth, and your name is Maria Hernandez, take Barbara Bush's name. At least you'll be American then. All right? Yeah, she's dead. So what? She looked like a carpet coming into the White House, and she looked like a dead carpet now. Okay? So remember. So anything, allowed to stay and work in the United States. They have a paper trail on you. Okay? Every time you guys want to be visible as American citizens, they put a paper trail on you. Do you see how long that leash is? Do you see how long that leash is going to extend for generations down the road? Or maybe you're not paying attention to it because you're too busy out there doing whatever shit you were doing before you became an American citizen. Okay? Last poets have a saying. You can take the nigga out of the country, but you can't take the country out of niggas. Okay, I'll play that. I'll find that cut and I'll play it for you later on today. Ramirez came to this country when he was 7. Now father of a young son. No, father of a young son who's an American citizen. No criminal record. Blah 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 blah. But in February 2017, he was detained when immigration agents showed up at his apartment in suburban Seattle. What are you doing living in a suburban area? Okay, that's custody too. Immigration agents said he acknowledged having gang affiliates. Just pinned a crime on you. You're a patsy. Okay? You're a patsy to public safety? Wow. Do you see the stress levels that are basically happening within your community right about now? Is it causing you health concerns? They further say Ramirez's tattoo, La Paz, BCS, is merely a tribute to the city of California, sir, where he was born. Wow. Says, oh, you're in a gang any damn way, but you have no proof. You have no paperwork to prove that you're not. Ramirez spent 6 weeks in custody before the judge ordered him released on bail. In January, another immigration judge, Brett Parchett, ordered him deported due to his illegal status despite finding that he, quote unquote, was not in a gang or associated with one. Let me put this to you again. He was not in a gang nor associated with one. So what does that mean? If you're a gang, you get better justice than people who are innocent? That people who basically do the right thing? Where is the flip-floppery of the justice system at now? Himself in the U.S. District Court in Seattle as a violation of his constitutional rights. His lawyer hopes to see his status restored to what it was before he was arrested. Good luck with that. You know the United States is government is a bunch of Indian giving jackasses. Last week, Ramirez's attorney asked the U.S. District Judge Ricardo S. Martinez to expedite his case, given that he only had 1 month to respond to the government's latest efforts to revoke his DACA enrollment. This is financially. If I am deported, I won't be able to do either of those things. And what? Build the wall. Build the wall. America got your priorities screwed. Remember, black. We're coming on the break here, people. We're coming on the break and whatnot. And I do want to give a good morning shout out to people this morning. Jose Guzman, my man with the plan, my man who basically was the first one up with my ass this morning. I don't know where you're at, but bro, trust and believe. That's impressive. Now, if you got $5, you can actually improve your lot here with us. But I mean, it's a free service. We provide this service for the simple reason because we want the apprenticeship program to exceed. Let's see, Ross Bernard Benzema all the way out there in South Africa. Soweto, homeboy. Good morning. Keep working on that project. Malik Smith. Okay. Malik the Freak. Good morning. Ebony Martinez. Good self. Live your life, girl. I am not one to stop your party. But I do have to say to Christina Long, donation. You can do. The reason why I said that is because, oh my God, you should see her pictures. Ooh, Lord, that child. You don't have to come out here and do some what we call environmental photography, just like that. And one of the coolest things I like doing here is making sure that you guys get some sort of information and make sure that we can all work together on the solutions of this crap. Some of these are new stories. Some of these are even better than new stories. Okay. And who else? Matthew Crawford, very proud of you. Good morning. There is a report here that I do have to play for you guys and whatnot. I'll make sure you guys can. If you're on your desktop or mobile, just simply go to KTNG 860am.org. Press the play button on the first screen and whatnot. You have to go through the access and so forth, but press the play button. And you're going to hear what is known as a small, oh, hi, there you go. My chickadees are back. That's wonderful. You're going to hear how anonymous Republicans are speaking on Trump. And this is from an excerpt I got from TYT. And if you don't know, the Young Turks and so forth, I love how he sees from an outsider's view because he's new to American politics. He's new to the schlockery that we do here. But TYT's been around for quite some time and they can learn a bunch. I don't deal with Bill Maher because Bill Maher is a freaking racist any damn way. All right? Straight up. I leave him out of it. I got 2 more stories before we get into our topic here, people. And I want you guys to know that I'm picking my nose. Yeah. Yes, more tea, people. More tea, people. Here it is. Check this out. Let me turn this up for you.
Released in public, but Eric Erickson recently spoke to a congressman who was staying anonymous. He was walking around Safeway with him, and that Republican congressman was very thought about Donald Trump. So Buckle up, we're gonna read some of his quotes. If we're gonna lose because of him, we might as well.
I can't wait to find out who it is, but wait till you get more.
Let's read some more and we'll see. Maybe we can analyze these statements. He may be an idiot, but he's still the president too. Lord's name in vain. At least I'll probably lose too and won't have to put up with that shit.
He's a wonderful, excellent commander-in-chief and great guy. Gets off air. It's like, Foron, you're the only one left not realizing it. They're laughing at you behind your back. And then my favorite part, and there's so many, he's worried about the cafeteria. Because he's like, what am I going to get the burgers? And then during the budget things, we thought that they said no and the government got shut down. So I'll get back to the
more for you. We got more. Here's what he said. It's like a rated piece of shit movie. Apparently. Okay, we got more. Judiciary is stacked with a bunch of people who can win re-election as so fan if that happens, and I'd vote to impeach him myself. Most of us would. Take him out with us and let Mike Pence take over. At least then we could sleep well at night. There's a little bit more. We're gonna lose the House, lose the Senate, and lose a bunch of states because of him. All the supporters will blame us for what we have or have not done, but he hasn't led.
We'll hate you forever, but you'll be a little bit of a legend. Those are civil war within the Republican Party. The Freedom Caucus is pressuring him too much. All of the Republican congressmen are thinking we're all gonna lose because of this. Anyone in a district that isn't plus 20 Republican is it the news, okay? Is that I think that this guy's, this is not this bullshit he says on television, but his real analysis is right about it this summer. It's not that he's looking forward to impeachment. You just heard the quotes yourself. Comes to impeachment and Trump fires Mueller. He's happy to take Trump. All these guys are going to turn around and go, look, first of all, I didn't.
Exact same thing in the man's house, in the special house that they're going through right about now. But if the primaries happen, and then I'm not the only one saying it. When it comes upon people taking their own action to cure something that is happening within the communities themselves, I'm glad to read something good for one. We got to get our blast on. Okay. Now from AP Press, Dick's destroying all guns it pulled from its shelf. Because of what? This basically makes the NRA looks very much like your boy Cheeseburger. Cheeseburger. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they lost the Republican seating, Dick's Sporting Goods is destroying all the guns and accessories that it stopped selling earlier this year after the school shooting in Parkland, Florida. The retailer said Tuesday that it was in the process of destroying all the firearms it pulled from its shelves rather than trying to return them to the manufacturers. Dick's made headlines in February when, in the aftermath of the massacre at Marjorie Stone Douglas High School, it banned the sale of assault-style rifles and the sale of all guns to anyone under 21. Other retailers filed suit, including Walmart, which also raised its minimum age rules for firearms. Yes, in Walmart out here, you can walk in the store with a gun, as long as you have a permit. Dick's is based in, and they're lost in army because they're trying to gain their independence and freedom because of political regimes that are basically set up by us. Now, those 4 Army Rangers that got killed in Niger, okay? They were there for a training exercise. What were you teaching them? You were teaching them how to hold a coup, not realizing that more than 200 of those kids, more than 200 of those people there, more than anything else, are basically child soldiers. So you're not teaching men, you're teaching warlords. CNN reports more than 200 child soldiers freed in South Sudan. More than 200. These are kids as young as 14. More than 200 child soldiers have been freed in South Sudan, according to UNICEF. 112 boys and 95 girls, some as young as 14, were freed at a special laying down of arms ceremony organized by UNICEF Tuesday in the town of Yambio in the southwest of the country. The UN agency said it hoped to release around 1,000 more child soldiers in coming months and has freed more than 500 child soldiers so far this year. Thousands of children have been forced to join the military and other armed groups in South Sudan since the oil-rich country became engulfed in civil war in 2013. Around 19,000 children are serving in the ranks of armed forces and groups in the country, according to the figures released by the organization. One of the boys, George, 17, freed at an earlier ceremony in February, told UNICEF he was abducted by an armed group in 2015. The group forced him to steal, rape women and girls, and on occasion he was ordered to kill a UN agent, sent the UN agency. I did not want to do any of these things, but if I didn't, I was scared they would kill me. No child should be made to carry guns or weapons, or better yet, use them at all. And if UNICEF can find reason to stop children from killing children, what's wrong with this country? How come we can't do the same damn thing? Because the NRA has 90% of its politicians in its back pocket. I've got a report about that soon. But 264 of the Republicans in the House Senate right now are supported by the NRA. And about a good 35 from the Democratic side as well. They all take the freaking money. Mark Rubio, you're a freaking idiot. Right? Mdoye, one of those released, will be reunited with their families, given psychological support, along with the opportunity to go to school. Putting down weapons is the first journey in the recovery process, but leading normal lives is even more difficult for children because I can tell you first off, being in combat, you are going to have combat post-traumatic stress disorder, okay? And these kids are going to grow up with it. They're not going to sleep well at night. Many are happy when these children are released, but they forget about them when they are reunited with their families. This is a time when they can be vulnerable or may go back. South Sudan, the world's youngest country, has been embroiled in a violent civil conflict. These armies and armies and so forth. You are pathetic. How dare you sit up there and make children do your dirty work? If that's not the worst case of pedophilia, I don't know what is. Fucking pedophile. Children were recruited by South Sudan National Liberation Movement and the Sudanese People's Liberation in opposition to SLPA. The statement said, armed forces and opposition groups in the East Central African country continue to recruit children have left behemoth of excuses that we give time to time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because if they're killing their children, they're taking a passage from America that eats its young on a day-to-day basis. Come on. How often do you not get a text alert of a child being abducted? Or see on TV of some poor little white girl basically gone somewhere, you know, and they drag it on for like, you know, what the media calls, what we call the white woman's 15 months of fame. I mean, come on, look at Stormy Daniels. She's still in the press right about now. So is Haley, what's her name, at the UN, who this confused broad doesn't even know her ass from her elbow, okay? Figure it out. If you can't figure it out, people, you can't connect the dots and everything, maybe I should just draw you a map. Onward and forward, because this is all based on, these stories are all based on. And so, $50 million area after we bomb it. How come we can't spend $50 million to clean up the water in Michigan, you know, corporately destroyed by organizations that support it? Cheeseburger! Let's find out what those 10 are. All Americans. Air pollution, serious problem in communities of color as poor live near power plants, oil refineries, or waste management facilities. Most communities of color that live near these things, okay, as a matter of fact, according to the in July, the distance within is doing so well. So he said coal can come back, but it will kill the black. In addition to large numbers of communities of color that live in urban areas where city water systems are more likely to be fluoridated than in kidney failure and diabetes. Okay, public transit. This is for all of you sugar freaks out here who are sugar. Last year, the United States Department of Agriculture released a study, and you can read this on www.apo36/numbers desserts. Areas where communities lack access to supermarkets and other sources of affordable, nutritious foods necessary for maintaining. You're going to Burger King, genetically modified. You're going to McDonald's, genetically modified. You're going to that contribute to poor dessert. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Wendy's, genetically modified. You're going to McDonald's, genetically modified. You're going to Burger King, genetically modified. You're going to McDonald's, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Wendy's, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Burger King, genetically modified. You're going to McDonald's, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Wendy's, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Burger King, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified. You're going to Wendy's, genetically modified. You're going to Chick-fil-A, genetically modified have become a major contributor to obesity and other related health problems in these communities. Activists across the country have attempted to address lead-based paint, as well as lead in surrounding dust and soil. Because they are more likely to be poor and live in older housing, black children are the obvious and vitamin deficiencies. Number 9, climate change. Climate change, regional equity at the University of Southern California. The growing climate change problem on just food, electricity, and water, which is higher than most whites spend. There have been recent efforts by activists to lower some of these costs by installing compact fluorescent light bulbs in homes in many of the high-risk communities. But these bulbs are designed to fight environmental pollution by reducing electricity use by 75%. A 25% by policymakers. Why don't you just say Cain? The descendants of Cain, okay? To see how health disparities among community colors are there, you can go to the website, you can click on the information right there. It'll tell you all day long. So let's look at it. Latinos, 65% of your population has diabetes or more likely to be diabetic. African Americans, 40% of you are doomed to die by stroke, most likely to die from a stroke any damn way. American Indian and Native Alaskan, heart disease, okay? And Asian American and Pacific Islanders, liver cancer. 80% of you will die from that. This is basically what we are faced with because of the inequalities of good health in our community. It is. It is. I mean, come on, people. Are we seriously like saying, okay, well, what about poor whites? Well, you guys fall in there too because you basically got there eating the same garbage we are. Either that or you get there just too damn high to figure it out. I mean, they legalized weed and you guys just went nuts with it. Okay? Those are your demographics. Okay? Let's click on Latino and see what we get here. Okay? This is like, you know, the topic here primarily is every breath your child takes. So for our Latino brethren and sisters and so forth, Latinos are more likely to suffer from certain health conditions, and they are more likely to get sicker, have serious complications, and even die from them. These are some of the more common health disparities that affect Latinos in the United States compared to the hell with it, compared to crackers. Let's just go there, okay? And this is how it works out. Asthma. You are likely to die 2 times from asthma, 6 times from tuberculosis, 15 times more by liver disease, stop drinking the tequila, 15% by obesity, 65, 55, and 45% respectively by diabetes, 2.5% in HIV, and 40 to 45% in cancer-related, especially cervical cancer. Okay? So that should let you know what you are dying from because you won't change your damn diet. Okay? Some greens, some veggies, people. Stop with the beans, rice, and meat crap. All right? You're gonna have to learn to eat with. If not, continue with your culture of being overly healthy, being, you know, stereotypically dead from the food that you eat, knowing full well that most of it's like tainted with GMOs. Nice. Except from cervical cancer, from asthma, and whole host. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's all right. 60% by twice as bad at 60% by diabetes, and 9 and 8 times more by HIV. Likely to suffer from tuberculosis, but 8 times more likely to die from it. 30%, that's for Asian Americans, and 60% more likely to end up stage renal disease through hepatitis, and that's for Asian Americans. Okay. 35% in obesity, more likely to be obese by Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. That's their genetic makeup. Okay? Stop eating pork, people. That's the only way you can beat this crap. Okay? American Indian and Native and Alaskan Native. Let's see where you guys are at. Ooh, here we go. All right. Now, this basically says altogether that, and I gather this is pretty much the reason why there's so much worry. 60% more likely to experience feelings of sadness or have hopelessness, suffer depression. 40% were more likely to have tuberculosis. 15% more likely to have heart disease. 45% in obesity. Okay, y'all right up there with us. 2 times likely to be diabetic and 60% more likely to have end-stage renal disease. 90% to more likely die from diabetes. Again, corn and pork. Stop eating GMO modified garbage. 30% more likely to be diagnosed with HIV and 10% more likely to die from it. 15% more likely to die from stomach cancer. And let's see, 2 times more likely to die from liver disease, or address a lot of social detriments of health and development. The problem with this and so forth is that we continue to follow the same things. Oh, traditionally our family's been eating these foods for decades. Remember the movie Soul Food? Where grandma was sitting up there cooking nothing but just straight up death and feeding it to her kids. And then at the end of the movie, she dies of health and development. Why should we even discuss these things? Our president or our present jackass or Forrest Gump cheeseburger doesn't address any of the social detriments of how health should be developed in poor communities. No one from the state or any individual state will address social detriments. They will not address any of these social detriments. Why and when should they do it? And how do any of us address social detriments of health and development in our communities? Okay. Now, these are solutions here. Okay. We have to understand what they are. Okay. So, what are social detriments of health and development? Social detriments refer to a broader social factors such as income inequality or social exclusion. Ding! Come on. We've gotten away from redlining. But then again, that Reagan era policy has never been, never stopped. Okay? And this leads to or influence health and development outcomes. Okay? For instance, a development worker in Mexico tells of realizing that one of the major causes of malnutrition in the area where he was working was not that there simply wasn't enough food. Sharecropping farmers aren't able to grow enough to feed their families, but had to borrow seed from the landowner to plant their crops. The term of the loan were that for every liter of maize borrowed at planting time, 3 liters had to be repaid from the harvest. With this high interest rate, peasants were deeper and deepest into debt and had to use more of their crops each year to pay the landowner. Without power, group solidarity, and influence, the farmers were unable to create conditions that assured the health and well-being of their families. Income inequality. Okay? Once a country has reached the point of development where most deaths come not from infectious diseases like tuberculosis, dysentery, cholera, malaria, flu, pneumonia, etc., but from chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, the economic and social inequality, social equality within a society is a greater detriment to an average lifespan than the country's position with regards to others. The United States, for instance, lags behind Japan, Sweden, Canada, and many other less affluent countries in the life expectancy of its citizens. Japan has the highest mortality rate when it comes to living longer. Okay? It does. Because they're taught as children about their diet and how to make sure that they keep their diet fluid. The difference seems to be the size of the gap between the most and the least affluent segments of our society. And this is true. Social connectedness. There are studies that say that belonging, whether to a large extended family, a network of friends, a social organization, or faith community, is related to longer life and better health as well as to community participation. Sense of personal or collective efficacy. Okay, this refers to people. Sense of control over their lives. People with a higher sense of or stronger history of efficacy tend to live longer, maintain better health, and participate more vigorously in civic life, such as me. Okay, all right. Okay. Now, many of these social detriments listed below, are specific forms of or contributors to these 3 categories. At a community level, it may be difficult to influence income inequality directly, but in a non-governmental or community-based organization, may be able to approach it through addressing a particular issue. A small organization may be able to have more effect on social connectedness and a sense of efficacy, since collective action can influence both social ties and the experience of changing communities and systems, like me. Okay? The World Health Organization, the WHO, and the WHO, in its publication, The Solid Fact recognizes the need to break these factors down into more manageable pieces. It lists 10 factors that affect health and life expectancy and advocates addressing each within a comprehensive program of social protection that addresses all of them within a society. These 10 factors are, and I hope you got this down, the social gradient, the extent or equity, or the difference in wealth and opportunity between those with the most and those with the least, the haves and the have-nots. Stress, number 2. Early life experience, number 3. Social exclusion, the opposite of social connectedness. 5. Work. 6. Unemployment. 7. Social support. 8. Addiction. 9. Food. And 10. Transport. I think I might have covered those earlier, but the factors listed in most cases are more specific than the 3 broader detriments discussed earlier. And in addressing social detriments, however, keep in mind these broader factors and gear programs and policies toward influencing them at whatever level you can, given the resources and the scope of your organizations. As listed above, there are modifiable factors that can greatly influence community members' health and quality of life. Let's look at some of these factors, okay? Exposure is one of them. Vulnerability, consequences. Okay? There are factors that break those 3 down. There are economic factors. Unemployment rate, for example, has a great influence on how such issues as domestic violence, substance abuse, depression, or physical illness. Economic inequality affects people's stress levels, exposure to violence and toxins, educational prospects, access to services, high-risk behavior, and mortality rates. Social inclusion, social connectedness, and the cohesion of the community have been shown to have a direct relationship to good health and lower mortality rates. These factors can also encourage civic participation in changing conditions that affect group goals. Education. Ding, ding, ding. More education means not only better jobs and more affluence, but also a greater sense of control over one's life. People with more education have more choices in health, housing, careers, and other areas that affect the quality of their lives. So being a dada jackass with your pants hanging down is not educational. Racial or ethnic bias. Social exclusion can be the result of prejudice, which results in a different access to healthcare, education, and other services, which means Medicare for all. Social norms of acceptance or particular behaviors or practice, smoking or even alcohol abuse may be accepted part of the culture of a community. In that case, many more people will adopt it than in a community where it is frowned upon. Because why? We fear exclusion by our own races. There are many elements of culture that might have a bearing on social inclusion, efficacy, and income inequality. Gender roles in different cultures, differences in opportunities for men and women, and to disparities in nutrition, health, education, and life opportunities for their children as well. Food preferences in different cultures may have profound health effects. For centuries, for instance, the Japanese ate a diet consisting largely of rice, vegetables, and fish, and at least partly as a result experienced fewer heart health problems than the meat and potato eaters of the United States. And in Colorado Springs, we have nothing but meat and potato motherfuckers. Religion can also have a profound effect on health and mental health and development issues. Attitudes toward mainstream culture can influence everything from medical care to whether or not high school students can attend dances. This, in turn, affects the type and amount of health care received, the sense of connectedness within the community, and many other factors. Language barriers can cut people off from health care and other services, make it difficult for them to find and keep decent jobs, and affect their children's education, much like the reinvention or the stifling of DACA is doing right about now. Okay? Influence of mass media, politics, living conditions, geography, all of it plays into it, people. I would suggest you get yourselves down to the community toolbox, okay? Get to their website, and you can look at the table of contents. It's on chapter 17, section 5, and it's addressing social detriments of health and development. It is a very interesting PowerPoint that you can present not only in schools, grade schools, but also to your town city councils. You can also point this out to your workplace, a place of work. Not only that, but send a copy or email to your landlord to let them know what the hell's going on. The Community Toolbox's website is ctb.ku.edu, and you can look through it and so forth. You can also donate as well. It is a nonprofit just like I am. And when it comes to donations, people, this is the end of the day. You gotta get into your pockets and basically donate to KTNG 860 AM or for the simple reason because without you, we cannot bring you all the intriguing tales of our like right out of the freaking water. And not only that, but we are endangering not only the cause of our futures to be exact morons, okay, to run our country is how do we destroy the art of